to get this message out to you. I've been holding it for about 2 or 3 weeks. And so I wanted to encourage the people of God. I want to encourage anyone who needs encouragement. And so I'm going to read from the book of Esther. I'm going to start with chapter 7 because this is to encourage a nation that is obedient to the Lord and those that choose to serve the Lord. So here it goes. It's chapter 7. So the king and Haman came to banquet. Oh, before I finish reading, let me give you a background of the story of Esther. Okay, so Esther was an orphan. Her uncle Mordecai raised her. He was her uncle father. And now she has worked so hard to get in a position through obedience and through sacrifice of getting close to the king's servants and listening to the instructions they gave her to, and obviously having a relationship with the Lord and being able to get in a position of favor with the king. Okay, but they have a inside enemy. Mordecai and herself have an enemy of the Jews within the king's camp. So this enemy has plotted against the people of God to kill the Jews. Okay, and so he has done this, and he has plotted for over a year, and then he takes it to the king, and the king approves this law to annihilate the Jews. So Mordecai gets the word to Esther, and then Esther, hallelujah, calls for a fast to the people of God. But I'm going to read so that you can get a better understanding of what this word is about. And I want to encourage you today. So the king and Haman came. So Esther calls a banquet so that she can deal with this thing after she has fasted and prayed with the people of God. Okay. So the king and Haman came to the banquet, and Esther the queen, um, and the king said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is thine petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thine request? And it shall be performed even to half of the kingdom. That's favor right there, you guys. Then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thine sight, O king, if it please the king, let my life be given at my petition, and my people at my request. For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, and to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold, I um sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. Then the king Xerxes answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he, and where is he that durst presume in the heart to do so? And Esther said, the adversary and the enemy is the wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen. And the king, arising from the banquet of the wine in his wrath, went into the place garden. And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther for the queen. Hallelujah. For he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine. Haman was falling upon the bed whereon Esther was. Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me? This is God, y'all. um, Hallelujah. Even though his mind was going places, the Lord had orchestrated all of this for the favor of his people, the Jews. Hallelujah. As the word went out, the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. And Harbanan, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold, also the gallows, hallelujah, 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him thereon. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified. Chapter 8. Hallelujah. Mordecai advanced in honor. On that day did the king Xerxes give the house of Haman the Jews enemy unto Esther the queen. And Mordecai came before the king for Esther, and had told what he was unto her. And the king took off his ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it to Mordecai. And Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman. And Esther spake yet again before the king, and fell down at his feet, and besought him with tears to put away the mischief of Haman the Agagite, his device that he had devised against the Jews. Then the king held out the golden scepter toward Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king and said, If it please the king, if I have found favor in his sight, the thing seemed right before the king, I be pleasing in his eyes, and let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Jews which are in the king's provinces. For how can I endure to see the evil that shall come unto my people? Or how can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred? Then the king Xerxes said unto Esther, the queen, and to Mordecai the Jew, Behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him they hang upon the gallows, because he laid his hands upon the Jews. Write ye also for the Jews, as it liketh you in the king's ring, for the writing which is written in the king's name, and sealed with the king's ring, may no man reverse. Then were the king's scribes called at the time in the 3rd month, that is the month of Sheban, the 23rd day thereof. It was written according to all that Mordecai commanded unto the Jews, and to the lieutenants and deputies and rulers of the provinces which are from India unto Ethiopia, 127 provinces, unto every province according to the writing thereof, unto every people after their language, and to the Jews according to the writing according to their language. And he wrote King Xerxes' name, and sealed it with the king's ring, and sent the letters by post, on horseback, riders on mules, camels, and young dromedaries, wherein the king granted the Jews which were in every city to gather themselves together, and to stand for their life, to destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish all power of the people and province that would assault them, both little ones and women, and to take the spoil of them for a prey, upon one day in all the provinces of King Xerxes, namely upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar. The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that the Jews should be ready against the day to avenge themselves on their enemies. So the posts that rode upon mules and camels went out, being hastened and pressed on by the king's commandment. And the decree was given at Shushan, the palace. And Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal apparel of blue and white, with a great crown of gold, and with a garment of fine linen and purples. And the city of Shushan rejoiced and was glad. The Jews had light and gladness and joy and honor. And in every province, in every city, whithersoever the king's commandments, his decrees came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day. And the many of the people of the land became Jews, for the fear of the Jews fell upon them. Now in the 12th month, that is the month of Adar, the 13th day, this is chapter 9 of the same, when the king's commandments and his decree drew near to be put in execution, in the day that the enemies of the Jews hoped to have power over them, though it was turned to the contrary, that the Jews had ruled over them that hated them. The Jews gathered themselves together in their cities throughout the provinces of King Xerxes, to lay hand on such as sought to hurt them. And no man could withstand them, for the fear of them fell upon all people. And all the rulers of the provinces, and the lieutenants, and the deputies, and the officers, and kings helped the Jews, because the fear of Mordecai fell upon them. For Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went out throughout the provinces, for this man Mordecai waxed greater and greater. Thus the Jews smote all of their enemies with the stroke of the sword, and slaughter and destruction, and did what they would unto those that hated them. So, my God, I want to encourage you today. Hallelujah. This was regarding the people of the time in the context. Stand up. Stand up for righteousness. Stand up for holiness. In the end, you will have favor with the Lord if you, hallelujah, obey and eat the good of the land. You will eat the good of the land. All right, you guys. So if you all want to write a book, if you want to be coached, if you're looking to, hallelujah, heighten your endeavors in business, or you are switching from the workforce to business, please reach out to me. I'm honored to share what the Lord has given me in my business endeavors and book writing endeavors. Also, you can go to the descriptions in the link, hallelujah, to purchase my books as well. And so, blessings, hallelujah. Talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.